All right, Lions fans, here we go again. Week 4. Lions just dropped to the Seattle Seahawks 48-45 in what I thought was a must-win game. What's your takeaway from the game, son?
Man, my main takeaway would just be disappointment.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess on the bright side, the offense showed that they really are probably a top five offense in the league. I would say Jared Goff also showed us that he is not the problem with this team. Clearly, I don't know if it's the defense. Well, clearly it's the defense, but I don't know if it's the play calls. I don't know if it's the players, or I don't know if it's a mix. But yeah, that's what I've taken away from this disappointment mainly.
Actually, that's a beautiful takeaway there because you're right. Jared Goff to me has proven that he is not the problem. Yes, he threw an interception in this game, but I'm not gonna lie. That kid out of UTSA, that rookie, his Woolen, I think his name is.
Yeah, Tariq.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fast. So if you look at it, I mean, he just basically broke on that ball. So even though Jared Goff did throw the interception, I don't think that it's as bad as we can say, well, this is on Jared Goff. I have to agree. I think that the problem is the defense, hands down. I'm going to start with Aaron Glenn. I think that Aaron Glenn has some questionable play calls through most of the game. Now, listen, if you've seen Geno Smith play, listen, Geno Smith has been in the league for 10 years. We know that Geno Smith can make plays with his legs. He didn't have anybody spying. That's how Geno Smith ran that touchdown in on the second score.
Right.
You know that Geno Smith is going to roll out. Anybody who watched the Falcons game in the preseason knows that the Lions' weakness right now is a quarterback who can roll out of the pocket. That's really the only way that Jalen Hurts kept the Eagles in the game in that first game was him rolling out. I think that the defense is the problem. Tracy Walker was the only starter that was missing. Like I told you a little bit ago, I was on Twitter and a lot of people were complaining, saying, "Oh, you guys are being too harsh. They're playing with practice squad players." Listen, Tracy Walker was the only guy that was out. The rest of the defense was playing. And a lot of those calls had to be on Aaron Glenn. So I would say the pros for me would be the offense. I thought that due to the fact that the Lions were down two of their top three receivers, then Cephas went down. So then they were 3 out of 5 they were down. Khalif Raymond did come back in, and Josh Reynolds really showed up. Hawkinson did his thing, but I'm sorry, and Swift was out, so they can put up 45 points. Now I know the Seattle defense isn't good, but they put up 45 points on a team without their starting running back,
Yeah, put
without
together
their
offense.
yeah, without their top two receivers. The problem is definitely the defense. What kind of holes or what did you see on the defense that could be the issue? I would say other than the obvious being Aaron Glenn's play calling.
Man, my main hole with the defense would be if you look at the stats, the leading guy with the most tackles was Deshaun Elliott. He had 9 tackles.
Right.
So I mean that shows right there that constantly the running backs were breaking through to the secondary whenever they could. I don't even think the pass defense is the main problem with the Lions. It's just that they can get ran on whenever a team needs to run the ball, they can just have their way with them. So I think that's a problem. They're wearing them down when they run the ball, and then they can just throw over top whenever they need to because they're bringing everybody down in the box.
I would agree. Son, you hit on something key when you said that. I didn't even realize that when you said that. Did you say that Deshaun Elliott led the team in tackles?
Yeah, with 9 tackles, solo
Okay.
tackles.
Now I know that he was playing close to the line of scrimmage a lot in the game, but whenever a safety has a whole lot of tackles like that, it says something about your front seven, your front six, or your front seven. I think I might have told you this back when I used to collect football cards and basketball cards when I was young. There was a player named Tim McDonald that played for back then they were called the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sorry, back then they were called the Phoenix Cardinals, and his name was Tim McDonald. And I remember I had one of his tops cards, and this dude had like three. He was a safety, and he had like 3 seasons where he averaged 140 to 147 tackles. When the safety is making that many tackles, it's something wrong with the guys up front. So I agree. I agree
Right.
with you on there. So do you think it's more the linebackers, or do you think it's more the D line?
Oh. Well, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out because sometimes the D line doesn't look too bad,
Right.
but man, I think it's the D line and the linebackers. I don't know what's going on. They're like Swiss cheese. I mean, you can run whenever you need to.
True.
And the other problem is, I'm not disrespecting Malcolm Rodriguez, but in my opinion, he's the most impactful player on the defense. And I mean, he's a 6th round pick. So
Right.
someone else needs to step up.
I, I think you may be right when you say that he is the best player on the defense. I mean, now I'm going to give Hutchinson a little bit of I'm gonna lay off of him just a little bit. I actually think that he may still be hurt because he has not been as impactful since he got himself hurt in that Washington game. So maybe that's why he's not getting in. Maybe they're double teaming him on plays that we're not seeing. Now he did make some good plays. He had a tackle, I think, in the backfield on Kenneth Walker, but he just hasn't been impactful. And I agree. Malcolm Rodriguez is seems to be the best player on the team. Anzalone is a good run defender while we're talking about the linebackers. But like I've been saying, the Lions are still a dog linebacker away. Listen, if they're going to play that big nickel, which is really what they're playing, you have to have an athletic Isaiah Simmons type of linebacker in the middle of the field. Malcolm Rodriguez is not a linebacker who can cover receivers, and neither can Anzalone. And I think that's where the Lions are getting hurt at a lot. I mean, what do you think about them getting somebody, a linebacker who can actually cover the pass?
I think you hit it right on the head. That's what they need. I mean, I don't know if they can get that in the draft, but that's what they need to focus on. I know nobody's going to give that up in a trade, but they really do need a Micah Parsons type linebacker out there because honestly, all three of their linebackers are run defending type linebackers. To be honest, not for the pass defense.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up Micah Parsons because the truth is that I also think that's something that we missed on. I think the pass rush is still not good. I thought the pass rush would be decent this year, but I'm gonna be honest with you, son. The Lions, Geno Smith had, I always count out in my head whenever the ball is snapped. Geno Smith a lot of times had 5 seconds to throw the ball. If you
Yeah.
give any quarterback in the NFL 5 seconds to throw the ball, he's gonna find the soft zone, which is what Geno Smith was doing.
Yep.
Geno Smith, to me, even when he was drafted, I always thought at best he was a backup quarterback. Now, when he was starting for the Jets, he had some decent games. Geno Smith was never like a great quarterback. He always, I'm not gonna disrespect him. He's always been a good quarterback. But see, the way he looked today looks like the guy that got drafted in the second round 10 years ago. Whenever what year was he came in the league, he looked patient, he looked poised, and like I said, he had time to throw the ball. And not to mention that if I'm not mistaken, I think Seattle has two rookies on the offensive line. It's no reason that they shouldn't. The Lions should have been getting pressure without having to blitz linebackers, which also hurt them. I think that they are still a pass rusher away, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, was there even a single sack on Geno Smith?
I don't think so. I saw him get on the closest I saw him get to a sack is when they blitz that he called an all out blitz and Geno Smith threw it up and I think it was that intentional grounding. I, I
Yeah.
I honestly think that was the only time I saw him pressured like that. And but other than that, I mean, you have to be able to get pressure with the front four. I mean, we saw the Rams do it. The Rams have had a pretty good defense the last few years. You have to be able to get pressure with that front four. You can't just rely on blitzes because blitzes leave the middle of the field open, which is why DK Metcalf and even Estrich, the former Western Michigan player, and Lockett, these guys were open and those tight ends. I mean, come on, man. He threw to like three tight ends. That's why they
Yeah.
were open all the time because there was nobody there to cover those guys. Or by the time the linebackers realized it was too late. So, uh, you know, they have to get some type of pass rush, without having to blitz.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and the defense just needs to learn to step up. I mean, Jared Goff pretty much had a perfect game. I mean, Jamal Williams had a quiet 110 yards.
It was quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was a quiet. It was a quiet 110 yards. And I thought that might be how they tried to win the game, but unfortunately, they fell behind too early. I think that might have been Dan Campbell's plan is if we can get Williams going and get Reynolds going, we can run the ball, maybe throw short passes to keep the clock running and just wear this team down. Like I told you before the game, I thought the Lions would still win 27-17, but the defense failed them. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. I mean, watching games like this is fun. I'm just frustrated. Watching games like this is frustrating. This is the type of game that should have been a lock. If they were going to try to make any run at the playoffs, This is the type of game you have to win. The Minnesota game, we could take it or leave it, but you can't lose to a bottom four team in the league, and that's what they did today.
Yeah, because I mean, the other teams in the NFC North are just going to keep pulling away. I don't know if the Vikings beat the Saints earlier, but
Right. I'm trying to. That's what I'm doing right now. Actually, as you and I are talking, I'm trying to see if I can pull up the scores for some of the games earlier, so I can see what the Vikings and the Bears, with the big, the Vikings and the Bears, and see what they did.
yeah,
Uh, Let me see. I have it up now. Let me see the. Oh, the Packers. The Packers just started. Let me see. You said the Vikings. Where's that Vikings game at? I'm not seeing it for some reason.
the Vikings game was in London, so I think it was
No,
played
the Vikings
earlier.
won. No, the Vikings won 28-25.
Oh wow.
And the Bears lost. So Vikings won, Bears lost. So unfortunately, that means the Vikings are now what? Are the Vikings 3-1?
Yeah, they are.
So the
They took
Vikings are three
control.
and one. The Vikings are 3-1. The Bears losing drops them to 2-2. And then you have the Pack. The Packers are. I think the Packers are going to beat the Patriots. So if they win, they'll be 3-1. And I
Yeah.
don't know. So other than disappointment, which we have in this game, this Seattle game, what do you think about next week with the Patriots? What do you what's the early prediction? What do you think it might happen?
I mean, uh, Mac Jones is still going to be hurt, right?
Right. He's supposed to be out another 3 to 5 weeks. They're saying.
I still got faith in the team. I'm gonna take the Lions. I'll take the Lions 28 to. I'm just gonna say 28-21, just because they seem to somehow these second string quarterbacks seem to be able to have career days against the Lions. I know it's Brian Hoyer, but who knows what he can do. I might check out some of the game to see what the Patriots offensive line is looking like.
Yeah. To be honest, it's hard for me to even to go there because I thought that about this Seattle line. I was
Yeah.
saying that this Seattle offensive line is not good. They actually are rebuilding the line, and I didn't see the Lions get enough pressure on Geno Smith, and not to mention Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach that ever coached professional football. I mean, come on. I mean, you think he's not going to have something cooked up for the Lions, especially if they lose to the Packers today? You know, you think he's not going to have something cooked up? You think Bill Belichick is not going to see that the Lions can't defend the rollout and the tight ends running those 5 yard outs?
Yeah.
Now the only thing I would say about New England against Seattle is that Seattle's top three receivers are much better than the Patriots' top three receivers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are much more explosive than Nelson Engler, and I don't know who else the Patriots have.
They have Inkel Harry, who I think is having a pretty good year, but I thought he got hurt, but maybe he didn't. Let me see. And that's really the only receiver I can think of that I know. Their tight ends are just okay at best. Their offensive line is really just okay at best. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how good the Patriots defense is or isn't. But I really thought that the Lions would win this game. I thought they would make a comeback, and I thought, okay, good. That'll roll us right into New England. You get that, then we got a bye week, and after that, we come back with everybody healthy against the Cowboys. But man, I don't know. 48 points to a bottom four team is not acceptable.
Yeah, it's really astonishing that they lost this one. To be honest, I don't know how.
You made a good point earlier too. How do you score 45 points and still lose? If you score 34 points, 34, your team is supposed to win.
Right. I mean,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, they pretty much scored it. I mean, just like the Seahawks, they scored it pretty much every possession. But yeah, the defense just, and it's not even about letting up points. It's also that they can't get stops when we need them to get the stops. Like at the end of the game, like come on, we need you guys to stand up once. The same thing
Right,
happened to them against the Eagles too. So
right, right. That 3rd and 5 right there with under a minute left, that was heartbreaking. Like, man, that was their chance. That field goal probably would have been too long for the Seahawks kicker to make. They would have had to punt it, and then at least they would have had a chance. A chance to try to win. Oh, and I forgot one more thing, one more con in this game, other than the Lions defense. Those referees were horrible. I mean,
yeah,
man,
they were.
how many times did they throw a flag down and then say, "Oh, there's no flag on the play"? Man,
Yeah,
those refs were terrible. I mean, those referees should barely be ref in a high school game. That's how bad those refs were. I mean, they shouldn't be ref in a high school game. I mean, it was. they threw so many flags down, and and the reason why they kept pulling the flags up is because they were indecisive. They were like, "Oh, you didn't see that? Okay, I guess we'll pick it up."
Yeah. And it always seems like it's the Lions where these very crazy calls will happen, like the repeat on third down. I've never seen that before. But,
Because if I remember, what they tried to say is that they, wait a minute, it wasn't a timeout. What happened? 'Cause I'm getting kind of fuzzy now. For some reason, I'm thinking that they said Seattle called a timeout before the ball was snapped. But I
and
mean,
yeah.
they called it like 2 seconds into the play.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I wish that the NFL would not use these experimental refs when the Lions play, but they always do. They were bad. They were bad. Well, we've been on for a little bit, kicking it and talking about our Lions. Very disappointing. I'm gonna be honest. I think that was a backbreaker. I still have faith. I still believe that they can win 6 games to more. But that dream I had of maybe, just maybe, they can stick it to the playoffs. I'm kind of not. I'm falling out of love with that dream. Because the defense still has a lot of holes in it. They still need a couple of players. They still need some better play calling, and now they're 1-3. So they have a long road to go to try to make the playoffs, which means they have to beat some good teams. They have to beat Dallas. They have to beat Green Bay at least once. They have to,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, no, they
what I mean?
have to beat these good teams now. Yeah.
Right. Because in my opinion, they lost 2 gimme games. The Vikings game, they had it in the bag and gave it up. In this game against Seattle, who's not good, who, I'm gonna be honest, Seattle's not gonna win more than 5 games. They're not gonna win more than 5 games. And guess what? They already have 2 wins, and I'm going on record saying that they're not gonna win with 13 games to go. They're not gonna win more than 5 games, and and the Lions lost to them. So
Yeah.
I agree. They have to tighten it up. Now they have to get some of these must-win games. So, okay, so on the record, you have the Lions beating the Patriots next week, 28-24. Um,
Yep.
and
Well, I had 31. I said 31. It was what did I
you said
say?
31-24.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Lions. I'm gonna go. You said 31-24. I'm gonna go. Oh man. I'm gonna go Lions 28-27. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna
Okay.
go 28-27. Brain Hoyer is gonna throw 2 touchdowns, and the Lions are gonna have to hold on in the last seconds to win the game. 28-27, a nail biter against the Patriots. That's what I'm going with next week.
Yeah, that sounds pretty realistic in my opinion too.
Yeah, that's
Going
what
the
I'm rolling
Lions.
with. Well, if any Lions fans come across this broadcast, tell us what you think. Give us your frustrations. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and let's just keep talking Lions football. I know this one hurts, but hey, we just gonna move on to the next game. It's over now. So, any last thoughts?
Uh no, I just can't wait for our boy Jameson Williams to come back.
Oh goodness, I know. Please, somebody. Hopefully, somebody's healthy next week. St. Brown. Hopefully, somebody's healthy next
Yeah,
week, and we can see
please.
something. Man, please, somebody. I know Swift not gonna play, but hopefully somebody's playing next week. Well, other than that, that's pretty much all we got, Lions fans. Peace.
Peace.